So let's talk about transportation. And Representative Hausman, let's start with you. That's a topic that you've certainly staked out over the course of your years in the legislature, and something that's a matter of present concern as well. I recognize that this is not a budget year, so typically you wouldn't have the big transportation bill that we will have next year, for example. But nonetheless, transportation issue seems to surface in non-budget years as well. So talk to our viewers a little bit about transportation priorities in this session.
So for me, they are different from what they might be for other members because I'm working with some citizen groups who are trying to move us in very different directions with transportation alternatives. The one is All Aboard Minnesota, and they have done an economic study about the impact of intercity passenger rail. You know, corridors of commerce, we discovered the importance of linking roads in economic centers. But All Aboard Minnesota has done the economic study if we could connect those major cities with intercity passenger rail. We were successful last year in getting 10 million to match 32 million for a second train to Chicago, and so that is complete. But I have to say, in Minnesota, this has, for some strange reason, been a partisan issue. Rail has been a partisan issue. I serve on a Midwest Interstate Passenger Rail Commission. When I mentioned this, now I'm talking Midwestern states. Yes, rail is exploding across the world, across the nation, but also the Midwest. We trail our Midwest economic competitors. Kansas, Texas, Indiana, Illinois, Missouri. They are all moving ahead. They all understand it's part of the economic competitiveness and health of their region. When I mentioned this at this Midwest Commission, and I said in our state it's become partisan, I have to tell you, across the spectrum, I got these blank looks on the part of everyone. And finally, someone couldn't help it. They asked, "Well, how's that partisan?" It isn't. In other Midwestern states, in Republican-governed states, they are actively moving forward, applying for federal grant money, and Minnesota is not. We are behind other Midwestern states, other economic competitors. So that's a frustration. And there's one other group. It is called the Citizen Advocates for Regional Transit, who believe that our transit planning in this area has been too much driven by local governments, by counties specifically. And what they're saying is that means they make the decisions about a transit system based on what's good for their county and not what's good for the region. And what they're suggesting is there's got to be a much more regional driven plan so that it makes sense for everyone in this entire metropolitan area. We used to say 7-county, it's beyond that. But we have so much to learn from the citizens who are trying to help us broaden our view of transportation alternatives.
So, Senator Dahms, in addition to the general discussion about transportation issues that might occur in this session and perhaps responding to some of the concerns that Representative Hausman has raised, we also have a viewer who's concerned from Renville County, your territory, who is very concerned about the intersection of highways 212 and 71 and wants to know if that is going to be the subject of any attention. That viewer is concerned about safety issues there. I'm very familiar with that particular intersection. I've traveled that part of the state a great deal. So maybe we should respond to that viewer's concerns first, and then maybe more generally on the transportation issue. And I thought I'd save that specific for you because that's your territory. So the question's yours.
And I'm not sure. I'm not on the transportation committee, and so I'm not sure just what's happening with 212 and 71. I do know the intersection, certainly, and it is, it is a concern. I'm not sure. I don't know that there's anything happening on that this year, but I shouldn't speak that there is or isn't because I'm not sure. But transportation in general, one of the things that we do need to make sure we get taken care of this year, and we have provided the funding within our transportation bill to do it. And that's, we're going to have a lot of money coming from the federal dollars. And so there is a match that the state has to put up in order to get those dollars. And it's in I think it's around $6 billion over a certain period of years. So we have made sure we've got the match put in order to get those dollars over a period of years. The other thing we're doing is increasing the currently a portion, like 40% of the sales tax on tires, batteries, accessories, things like that, automobile parts goes back into the transportation account. And in our bill, we're going to move that to 100%. And by doing that, we'll bring in about another 200 million per biennium to put into transportation. And along with that, then we're increasing the amount that goes to the townships and the small cities. And in rural Minnesota, that's a very big issue. And so it would bring considerably more dollars into the transportation account across the board, which whether you're in Minneapolis or St. Paul or the rural areas, you would benefit from that. As far as transportation, I think Alice is correct. I think that there is a division on who supports what on that. And one of the concerns that a lot of us have is the cost that keeps following the trail of the transit system. And that cost is, when you look at the ridership, it's very low. When you look at the cost of each ride, it's very high. And so we've got the problem with the latest light rail that's being built with the few apartment buildings and things going on with that. So there's a lot of issues that need to be settled. And we need to figure out a way to get the usage of the light rail, get that usage up, because it's very, very costly under the current system. It is much more costly than what it is with the bus system. So that's kind of what I would see.
So, Senator Cwodzinski, transit issues, transportation, transit, all of that.
Yeah, Alice, I didn't know you were instrumental in starting the Green Line, because the Green Line is planned to finish in my district. So I for years have said if we want to keep our young people that are going off to Chicago, New York, San Francisco, DC, for school, and they'd fall in love with the mass transit systems. They just go, why don't we have anything like this back in Minneapolis and St. Paul? And because this is what our young people want. They're going to live differently. They're going to live simpler. They're maybe going to try to get by with one car instead of a 2-car family. And we're going to have to meet their needs. And they're going to want to live in cities that have dependable, safe, reliable mass transit. And so I know that the Green Line that ends in my district, the last 5 stops are in my district. At the end, they've built 1,000 apartments and condominiums right at the end line, and many of those are going to be affordable housing. And there's been pockets. Alice mentioned corridors of commerce. Boy, I can't think of a better phrase for that than light rail, because the pockets for retail and grocery stores and drug stores to meet the needs of these little mini communities that are going to be at each stop, I think is wonderful. But I know that both chambers passed almost unanimously an audit of, it was a year ago, the big price take from downtown to Eden Prairie was $1.9 billion, and now I think it's at 2.7. So we've got to do some homework to find out what went wrong during that process. But we'll get it right. It's good. It's good for the people, and keeping young people in our city, and people in Southwest Minnesota that hate the traffic in the cities will be able to park their cars in Eden Prairie and go to the Target field and go to concerts downtown and take advantage of all the wonderful opportunities downtown Minneapolis and St. Paul have to offer.
Representative Lucero, floor is yours. Transportation issues.
Yeah, so a few things that I would add is the first 4 years that I served in the House, I was on the Transportation Committee, and one of the things that I was talking about as a technologist back then was not that transit is partisan. It's not. Light rail is the problem. Transit includes light rail and buses. I'm a huge proponent of buses. I'm 100% opposed to light rail because it's a legacy technology. If we go back even a few more years, it wasn't 1.9 billion. It was slightly less than $1 billion was the estimated cost to build Southwest Light Rail. It's now approaching 3 billion. And the assumption is a hub and spoke model. Light rail assumes that people live in the suburbs and they want to transport themselves to some central hub. But what's been happening in the advent here of COVID, it doesn't matter for many professions where you are. It just matters that you're there. So working remote, flexible workforce, VPN technology is allowing people not they don't want to move to the center core. They want to move to rural Minnesota, where there is a good pipeline bandwidth available for them to upload and download and work remote. And so light rail, once it's in the ground, it can't be moved. It can't adapt itself to shifting population lifestyle trends. Buses, on the other hand, can. If ridership goes down, they can make adjustments. Like the North Star rail here up near where I am through Elk River, it is an abysmal failure. It is hemorrhaging money with just abysmal ridership. And so that's what we need to focus on is people don't want to go to a central core. The things that I've been hearing from many of my constituents is the crime rate in Minneapolis. I've heard numerous times, people do not want to commute downtown. They do not want to go into any recreation activities downtown where they previously had quite heavily because of the fear of the violence and crime that's happening in Minneapolis and St. Paul. So we need to look at more efficient and future technologies, not continuing to look backwards to very costly legacy technologies.
Representative Hausman, I want to go back to you on this topic, and of course anyone else who wants to jump in should feel free to do so as well, because you've spent quite a bit of time studying it. When you talk about intercity rail, for example, Minnesota used to have a line that ran from the metropolitan area to Duluth. It was abandoned in 1986 because of low ridership issues. And I know that that's a line that's very much in the conversation about possibly restarting again. There's also discussion about a line from Rochester to the Twin Cities. And of course, as you mentioned earlier, the Twin Cities to Chicago. In addition to the transit and light rail issues, I'm just wondering if you can respond to some of the concerns about ridership issues and whether or not that's a concern here.
So by the way, all aboard has done the study of all of those corridors. There are 4 studies in the MnDOT plan. The one that they say has the absolute highest ridership projection is the one that goes south from the Twin Cities, as you suggested, and it ends up going to Duluth and Kansas City. And I will tell you in Des Moines, not Duluth, Des Moines.
Duluth is north, I think. I think we're clear on that.
I'm sorry, Des Moines, and the southern route they're moving. They're applying for federal funds. And so we'd better get on board or we're not going to be connected. But all aboard Minnesota says that's the highest ridership. We make mistakes. The North Star corridor should absolutely have been connected to St. Cloud. That's where the population center is. That's where the college campuses are. So it's the mistakes we make when we plan our routes. The North Star absolutely for ridership should have gone to Duluth. Here is the thing about subsidies that I think we never talk about. There's lots of attention to what people call, quote, subsidy of transit. We never talk about the subsidy of roads. There is no way that every car pays for the infrastructure, the roads and bridges in this state. In this transportation bill in the House, I believe there's $10 million for township roads. Nobody asks the volume of traffic on any of those township roads. Nobody asks that question. How many cars ride on those township roads? But we're putting $10 million of general fund money. That's a subsidy for those cars that are going to use that. I can recall, again, you learn from people like Representative Leader. He used to sit in his office and study all of the bridges when we put 60 million in for local bridges. He said to me one time, Alice, some of those bridges are a culvert that serves one farm. So we make it sound when we say roads and bridges as though that's noble and that's not subsidy. It is subsidy, just as is transit.
All right. Well,
just like if it's all right, I'd like to make a comment.
Go right ahead, Representative Dahms. Yes.
And I think there's certainly a big difference between roads and bridges in rural Minnesota and light rail in the Twin Cities. And as Representative Lucero talked about, there's a big difference between light rail and the total package of transit. And when I talked earlier, I was talking transit, but really I should have been talking about light rail. But when you have light rail, it moves passengers, period. When you have roads and bridges, it does not only move automobiles and people, it moves goods and commodities. And if you want to get rid of roads and bridges in rural Minnesota, let's see what the metropolitan people are going to eat for food, because that's how we move our commodities into the processing plants, from the processing plants into the distributorships, and that is product that comes in and out of the Twin City area. When you have light rail, it moves one thing, it moves passengers, and I understand that that's important. And Representative Cwodzinski mentioned about a lot of young people like that process, and I understand that. But you're moving one commodity versus several when you start talking roads and bridges. So just wanted to point that out.
Well, I'm sure we'll have plenty of opportunity to. There are probably even more angles to this discussion that we haven't even covered.